friends, how are you? I'm Michelle and this is my channel, Penny's Daughter Shares, where I talk primarily about cross stitch. Sometimes we talk sewing and quilting also. Today will be primarily cross stitch. I want to share my Mania plans with you, and I'm going to do that by showing you a parade of some WIPs and new starts or kitted up projects that I plan to do for Mania. If you're new here and you're checking me out for the first time, thanks so much for stopping by. If you are returning and you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. If you enjoy what you're watching, I would really appreciate it if you would like the video and subscribe down below. You can also tap on the bell, and that way you'll get a notification whenever I upload a new video. With all of that, I'm not doing a quote normal Flosstube, so I'm going to jump right in with what I want to share with you today. As I said, I am showing you my Mania plans, and what my plans are is 10 different projects, and each project I will work on for 3 consecutive days. If it's a WIP, I'll just stitch on it for 3 days. I don't believe I have any projects that I will complete within those 3 days. And if it is a kitted up new start project, then I'll start it over the course of 3 days and see how much progress I can make. And that way I'll have a group of projects ready to go and I can keep stitching on them as the mood strikes me. Is that a good way to put it? And I want to say thank you to Jen from Too Tall Stitchers. Those of you that have been following along, you're well aware that her and I started the FFO Challenge 2023 together, and we were discussing Mania and what we wanted to do. She had a plan, I did not, and I loved her plan so much that I'm essentially doing the same thing that she did, although I think our counts of WIPs and new starts are a little different. But she had the idea of 10 projects, 3 days each for each project. So thanks, Jen. And let's see. I am not doing 5 WIPs and 5 kits. I chose the WIPs that I wanted to pull out and use in the month of May, or to work on in the month of May. I have a few others. Honestly, I think I only have maybe 7 WIPs total, and there's at least a couple of them that I'm going to say are going to end up being new starts because I'm going to start them over. So they're just kind of on the back burner. And because of sort of the intensity of Mania with 10 different projects, I really wanted to choose things that I really, really wanted to stitch. Even though we know that pretty much if you pick stuff out, you like it, right? But I was trying to really choose things that maybe they're things that maybe I needed a little help to kind of go, no, you're going to work on that now, or it's just things I really wanted to work on and for whatever reason haven't pulled them out yet. The most notable WIP that you will not see in this parade, and therefore in my plan for Mania, is Teresa Koget's sampler, Faith, Hope, Peace, Love. If you've been following along, you know I'm working on this and know the whole backstory. If you haven't been following along, that's okay. I pulled this back out at the beginning of April. I have been working on this intensely for the month of April, and Jeff, my husband, helped me plan out my Mania projects, and he had the opinion that because I've worked on this so much in April, why don't I set it aside for May and do other different things that I haven't had out in a while? So I'll continue to work on this, and I'll show it again in a regular Flosstube and where I'm at. If you're interested in sort of my, what do I want to say, my adventure with this one, you can go back to my most recent Flosstube, which was number 35, and I talk at length about this and when I started it, what I'm stitching it on, what flosses I'm using, what sort of mistake I had made and how to fix that, all of those details. So if you're interested, but that's why you will not see this in this parade, is because I'm not going to work on it in May. All right, so I think we're ready to start the parade. And let me set things down so I try to stay somewhat organized during this, otherwise it'll be hours long. And it's been a little while since I've done really a parade, so I'll have to get a little more practice here as we start to go along. I'm going to start by showing you, did I tell you? I am planning on pulling out 2 WIPs that I'm going to work on during Mania. That means I am going to have 8 new starts. So I'm going to start by today showing you the 2 WIPs that I have. Up first is Heartstring Samplery, Ye Olde Noel. I actually got this in the Kitten Stitcher Advent box, which was December of 2021, and I fell in love with it the day I opened it and kitted it up immediately, although I didn't start it immediately. I think I started it during the holiday stitching time last year, which was 2022, December. I know this is available now. She released this chart, so if you like it and you don't have it, you are able to get a hold of it. So that's the chart picture. Let me show you where I'm at. And I haven't had this out in a while, so give me a second to figure out where I'm stitching at here. Make sure I'm showing it to you in the right direction. So this is the upper right corner, and 1, 2, I was just trying to see. I'm a little more than halfway down the side here. Obviously it's not all filled in yet, but so that's where I'm at on Ye Olde Noel from Heartstring Samplery. I am using all the called for flosses on this one. Whoopsie. Which is a mix of Classic Colorworks and weeksdyeworks. And I am actually using the called for fabric, although it might not be the called for count of fabric, but it is the color. I am stitching mine on 40 count xjudesign marbled pointer. Isn't that beautiful? And I don't have any stitched yet, but remember there's a lot of pink in this too, which I think it's just going to be really, really beautiful. There we go. Like I said, I fell in love with it and really wanted to stitch it. So Mania is a perfect time to pull this out and get 3 days on. Obviously, not going to get a finish, but I can get some work done on it. And I think that will help me. Maybe I'll be able to have it done and fully finished by the holiday time this year. And because this is 40 count, for me that means I'm stitching 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. So Ye Olde Noel by Heartstring Samplery. Up next is the second WIP that I have. I'm just trying to set my piles aside and hopefully they don't all tumble down. All right, and you have, if you've been following along, you've seen this recently. This is Pansy Patch, Quilts and Stitchery. Yes, I said the name right. And it is Hester's special delivery. This was a release in Nashville, not this past one, but last year in 2022. And I am stitching this using pretty much all called for flosses. I think I had to make one or two substitutions because of my fabric choice. So here's where I'm at. So you can see I'm not even halfway. Let's see, I am stitching this on 40 count marbled khaki from xjudesign. Again, 40 count means I'm using one floss thread over 2 linen threads. And this is really fun to stitch. I really like these colors. I'm really tickled with my fabric choice. It's very beautiful. And I think the video is showing it. It is like a blue-green. Yeah, I think the video is showing it, hopefully, pretty true to color. It's awesome for spring stitches. And so I told you the floss, showed you the chart picture. That's where I'm at. I'll get 3 days on it. Unless I could stitch for uninterrupted hours and hours each of those 3 days, then maybe I could finish, but there will not be a finish on this one. But I could get pretty far, I think. I can't wait to work on this little house. So cute. Okay. So those are my 2 WIPs. I already shared that Jeff helped me to be quite tough and make some choices with my projects. And while he was helping me, he thought it would be fun, I think is the word he used, that I kind of have themes. So actually what ended up happening is, of my 10 projects, I sort of have pairs that I'm putting together that tie together with a common theme. You'll see exactly kind of what I mean as I talk here. I wanted to give you the background on that because now I'm going to show you the partner stitches for the first 2 WIPs that I showed you. First kit that I want to share with you is Plum Street Samplers Home for Christmas. Sorry for the glare. There we go. Now you can see the picture of it. I plan to use the called for flosses, which is a combination of DMC, weeksdyeworks, and classic colorworks. Here is my fabric choice, and I'm trying to see if the video, it's hard to tell if it's showing you a good color, but it is 40 count Alcott from Needle and Flax. That means I intend to stitch 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. So that is Home for Christmas from Plum Street Samplers. And so that will be paired up with Heartstring Samplery's Ye Olde Noel. Now, what does it mean that they're paired up? I haven't fully decided. I think what I'll try to do, because I don't have this done yet, but I'm planning to lay out a schedule for the month of May and designate each of the, so May 1, 2, and 3 will be, let's say, Ye Olde Noel. Then 4, 5, and 6, I'll pick up Home for Christmas that I just showed you from Plum Street. I think I'm going to pair them up that way, but I don't know. I might change my mind when I'm scheduling it. I don't know. And even if I schedule it, I get to make my own rules, right? So even if I schedule something for May 4, 5, and 6. Maybe when I start stitching on May 4th, I don't feel like doing that project and I'm gonna pull a different one from later in the month. I don't know. I'm trying to be relaxed and just have fun with this. All right, the next kitted up project that I have, oh, and let me pull some pieces out of here so that you can actually see the chart picture, is Plum Street Samplers Penny Spring. How do I have this kitted up and not started yet? Things called FFO March Madness, and then in April, all these big projects that I wanted to pull out and work on and sort of became obsessed with. So this is in Mania, so I can get this going and get it stitched. I plan to use mostly called for colors. And I'm going to show you a little something that I have. Okay, so every time I kit things up or I start something new, usually when I'm kitting it up because that's how I organize things, I'll take my chart and I pull out a binder page protector, and then you can see my yellow sheet of paper here, and I write all my information down on there. So chart name, and then I list out the flosses. Now on this one, I'm not planning to make substitutions, so I don't have those written down. But normally then I would put, like after the color, I would write down substitute, and then whatever the substitution would be for that particular project. So that's how I keep things organized. And then not only can I can put floss in the chart package if it is conducive, which this one would work because it's a zipper. Sometimes it just gets put in this page protector, but that's how I kind of organize. And then when I'm kitting things up, I can write things down, you know, what I'm gonna need, and then as I receive it or I've ordered it, I can make notes on here and keep track of that. Then over here is where I write down my fabric choice, or if I'm debating between maybe fabric count or something, I might write some extra notes like what size it'll be when it's done, those kinds of things. But for this one, you can see I wrote down my fabric choice because I have it chosen on this one. And okay, so let me show you that. So like I said, called for colors, and I am going to use a piece of xjudesign. This does not have a color name. It is, I was in her, I think it's a half yard sampler neutral club. I don't know if I have that name exactly right. But for 6 months, I got a fat half of a color that she chose, you know, she dyed and sent out. And this was from February of this year, February 2023. I don't know if it's showing very well on the video. This is a bit of a peachy pink or like a darker blush pink color, and I think it will be fantastic for this. I mean, especially with that white house, right? I think it'll look really awesome. So I'm excited to start that and use this fabric. All right, now I've shared the first 2 pairs of projects. So we've got 4 projects so far. Going forward, I'm going to be able to show you the paired up projects together. So my next new start is this one from Vivsters, and this is called Quaker Tiles for July USA flag. And I this picture does not do this chart justice. I saw this somewhere, Facebook or Instagram, someone had stitched it and I think they finished it and it was so awesome. I just love, love, love this design. So I'm really excited to get started. It's very big. So it's a big one, but that's okay. I chose my own shades of colors. It only calls for 4 colors. So I chose shades that are some of my favorites. And this is what I am gonna do. Let me see if I can hold these. There we go. So I plan to stitch this on a piece of 40 count Brenda's Brew from R&R. And as you can see, I have 4 Classic Colorworks colors chosen. And for anyone that's been around for a little while, you know how much I love Classic Colorworks Black Coffee and how much I love Classic Colorworks Toasted Marshmallow. And you will see they're both here. I also chose Classic Colorworks Cherry Cobbler and Wavy Navy. So I think that's just really gonna turn out lovely as I work on it. So I'm very excited to get this one started. All right, so again, that's from Vivsters. It's a PDF download and you can find it in her shop on Etsy. Sorry for the crackling there. All right, up next is the companion or the paired up piece here for this one is the God Bless America sampler from Artful Offerings. And was this a Nashville release? I don't think so. I think it came out a little after that last year and I bought it immediately and kitted it up and have not started it because other projects. I just fell in love with it. So my plan with this one is, well, first of all, it's not fully kitted up because I don't have fabric chosen yet. And let's see. I am planning to use all the called for colors. I plan to stitch this on 40 count. I just need to pick out what color fabric I want to put this on. I am making one change, already have planned, and it may change as I'm stitching because of how it may show on the fabric. But the blue used is a DMC, and I didn't love that shade of blue when I pulled it with all the other floss colors. So right now I have pulled Classic Colorworks Chesapeake Bay for the blue. Again, I don't know if that's going to work once I get my fabric choice confirmed. And so I made a choice on my fabric for the God Bless America sampler. So I'm coming back with that. And here is what it looks like with the flosses. And what I chose is 40 count Steinbeck from Needle and Flax. All of these are the called for colors, and it's gonna look so awesome on this piece of fabric. I'm really excited about it. Because it's 40 count, that means I'll stitch 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. And I think that I talked already that I was swapping the blue. The called for blue was a DMC, and I didn't love the shade. And I had originally planned on a Classic Colorworks blue. And when I was pulling fabric and figuring it out, I remembered this newly released blue from weeksdyeworks, And since all the flosses are weeksdyeworks that are called for, I thought that was an even better choice for the blue, and I think it looks fantastic with this fabric. So I'll be substituting in Winnie B Blue from weeksdyeworks for the called for DMC. So that is, let's see, that is number 4 in my kits for Mania, number 6 in total projects. I think this next pair, or themed pair, I believe that Jeff called this the house theme. So we could probably also call it the country sampler kit theme because they're both kits from Country Sampler. Up first, and I'm going to show you a couple pictures of this, even though you probably have all seen it, but here is the front of the chart. It is Stacy Nash Primitives, the Big Blue House Pin Keep Drum, and it has this little strawberry here. Here is a better picture of the top. And then if I show you on the back or on the front, you can see the whole band on there. This is so awesome. I'm so in love with it. And this started out as part of a club at Country Sampler, and Stacy has released the chart at Nashville. So if you like this, you can get a hold of it. Now, like I said, it was part of a Country Sampler club. So it is fully kitted up. I'll put that in there later. So here, like, their kits are so beautifully put together, right? So all the called for flosses, and the fabric is 36 count antique lace from Seraphim. And I don't know if I have ever stitched on Seraphim linen, so I'm kind of excited about that prospect. So that is the Stacy Nash Big Blue House Pin Keep Drum. And lots of stitching on that one, but so beautiful. Paired up with that is from Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread, and this is called At Home. So that's the box that the kit came in. I got this because I got to be at summer camp last year at Country Sampler, and this was the big project that Brenda shared there. So you'll see, I'll show you the chart picture and have her signature on my chart. Yay! I fell in love with this when I saw it, and why haven't I started it yet? I don't know, but this is a perfect time to make me get it out and get started. So that is the front of it. And my understanding is this, I think that I've heard this is supposed to be released fairly soon, that everyone can buy it. So keep an eye out for that if it's something that you really like. I was just going to read the little saying here on the sampler. It says, "For genuine happiness, we need not roam. 'Tis doubtless found with little and at home," which my whole family, and me especially, love to be at home. Love, love, love. I'm such a homebody. So this just speaks to me, and how beautiful is that house? Oh, so awesome. Like I said, got this at summer camp, so it's fully kitted up with called for flosses. So there's, and I think it's weeksdyeworks and DMC, but yep, that's what it looks like. The piece of fabric in here is 36 count vintage country mocha. Now, if you've been around for a while, You know that I tend to much prefer 40 count as my linen choice. And so I am debating on, I may not stitch this on this piece of fabric. I may go to my fabric library and choose a 40 count piece. Especially since this is such a big piece, where like the pin keep drum, that one I feel like, okay, you know, it's set up and the full finish is designed around stitching on 36 count fabric. This is gonna get framed, and so I can choose whatever size fabric I wanna stitch it on. And I think I would much prefer a 40 count. So that I probably will choose a different fabric for this. I just need to do that. And that's probably one of the reasons I haven't gotten this out and started yet. So like I said, Mania is a perfect way to give me that push to get it out. All right, I mentioned that I thought I wanted to change out the fabric that was included in the kit with At Home by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. And I did make a choice on that, and so I wanted to pop that in here so that you could see what my intentions were. And here is the floss, which I just can't bring myself to take it apart from how it's wrapped on the vintage country mocha that was in the kit, which is 36 count. I really wanted to stitch it on 40 count. So I pulled out this piece. I don't know how well you can see it. It's very similar in color to Vintage Country Mocha. It just doesn't have, and I would say it falls between the pattern side of Vintage Country Mocha and the solid back side. It has just a hint of modeling in it. And what this is, it is, like I said, 40 count. I don't know if I can keep that up there so you can see it while I read. Let's try again. It is 40 count from xjudesign, and I talked about the Fat Half Club that I was in from Jucus, and so my tag says here it is the Sampler Stitchers Fat Half Club Only Neutrals is the name of the club. This piece came in December of 2022. So you all know, if you've watched me at all, how much I love xjudesign fabrics. And that was the choice I made on this chart because this is a fairly big one, not enormous, but it's big, and a lot of stitching. I wanted to make sure and stitch it on a piece of fabric that I absolutely love. Vintage Country Mocha is nice. 36 count is fine for me. I know lots of people love it, but I love 40 count, and I love xjudesign fabric. And for a really lovely piece like that, I thought I should have a piece of fabric that I absolutely love. So that is my choice for At Home from Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. My next and final pair of projects is a flower theme. These are just kind of random. So anyway, here is the first one. It is from A Heart Remembers, Blackbird Designs, the book. And here is the picture of the one I'm going to do. This is Wildflower Guide, again from Blackbird Designs. I plan to use the called for floss colors. I'm just gonna hold that a little longer. Plan to use the called for floss colors. I do not have my fabric chosen yet. It calls for 30 count for the linen, and I just love stitching on 40 count with one strand of floss. But I also like to get a little variety in there. So I need to figure out from my fabric library what is going to work, or what I think I'm going to want to stitch on. So I need to analyze the stitch count and the size of the project, and then what size it would be once I stitch it up. So then I can decide. But I do plan on, you can see that's a fairly light color that it's stitched on. And because it's kind of it has a spring feel to it, I'm gonna use a pretty light color, I think. So in the A Heart Remembers book from Blackbird Designs, I'm going to stitch Wildflower Guide, and I made my fabric choice for this, and I wanted to include that in the video now that I made that choice. And here I have it with the called for flosses, and I think it's showing up okay in the video. It's a very light color. I chose to stitch this on, let me get my notes so I can tell you. It is a 32 count fabric, so I will be stitching it 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And the reason for that is it's a fairly small stitch. It's 90 by 90 stitch count. And I think the called for fabric was a 30 count in the book. And when I calculated it out with 32 count, the finished size will be 5 5/8 by 5 5/8. So I could easily fit it in just a standard 6 by 6 frame if I choose to frame it when I fully finish, which I think I will. So I thought that was a really good size. If I went down to 40 count, it was making it a little too small for this particular piece, in my opinion, and for what I want to stitch. Although it would be adorable, really small too. So, but this is 32 count heirloom lace from Color and Cotton. And I think that'll be very beautiful with these floss colors. And I don't usually stitch on lighter this light of fabric, and without a lot of extra movement going on in it. So it'll be something a little different for me. So yeah, that is Wildflower Guide from Blackbird Designs out of the A Heart Remembers book. And I just thought of one more thing. I just need to add that I really, really want to stitch every single project in this book. I love every single one of them. I just need to find more time in the day. All right, for my 10th and final project of Mania, it is coming out of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. Let's see, this is from July and August of 1992. And I saw this being stitched on Instagram, and I apologize that I cannot remember who the person was, but I fell in love with this. And it is, let's do this, Bouquet of Sunshine. And I don't even think this has a designer on it per se. If there is, I apologize for not saying it, because I'm not seeing it really quickly here. So this, I plan to do this whole sampler. They also show it done as a pillow finish, just the basket of sunflowers, which I love that too, but I really wanted to do the whole sampler. I think it's lovely. And I think one of the reasons I love this is it's old school. I don't know. What do I want to say? It's a very classic design when back in the late 80s, early 90s, right? The trend wasn't necessarily classic designs that we would still really love now. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I love it. I think, and it's a little, it feels a little retro to me because I went through a phase of really loving sunflowers about this time. And let's see, I want to say that around this time, well, no, it was a little later than 92, but not much, that I had my first real apartment after graduating college, and did I have that? Yeah, I think so. My mom, because I loved sunflowers, my mom found me these dishes that she bought me that had sunflowers on them, and I loved them. I don't have them anymore because that was a couple of years ago. Anyway, I just fell in love with this. So out of this magazine, and I made a choice of fabric. So because that design, and I should have left it open so I could tell you, the stitch count is 175 tall by 135 wide. So my normal go-to would be 40 count, and I decided I didn't like the dimensions of it in 40 count. I've written down here, it would have only been 8 3/4 high and 6 3/4 wide. And I wanted it to be a little bigger and more substantial of a piece when I got done, if that makes sense. And I ended up in my fabric library, I have this cool piece of, picture this plus, 28 count ale, A-L-E, color is the color, and it's a Lugana. And I think you can see fairly good in the picture. It doesn't look like the video's picking it up really great, the modeling in it and such. But I think this will be sort of the perfect backdrop. And I'll pull out, because there's a gazillion DMCs. I'll try to pull some of them out here. I don't know, that's not neatly presented. It's just kind of tossed on there. It's literally a floss toss. And I wish I could remember, I was going to show you like the bottom basket, the two colors that it is. And I'm not going to remember, even though I want to. Oh, yes, I can, because they're together. These two colors here, and I'll show the picture of it one more time. These two colors here make up the patchwork on the basket. So I just think those will show up really, really awesome on here. So I'm really excited to stitch this one. All right, let me show you the picture one more time. So those two colors I showed you, they make up the patchwork of the basket, and then one of the darker browns is sort of the outline, if you will. But yeah, I think this is going to be something I'm really going to enjoy stitching, because there's a lot of, you can see fairly large sections of color. There's a lot of shading and everything, but they're fairly large blocks, and that's my jam when it comes to stitching. So I think this is going to be a really fun, and I'm excited to pull it out again. I think that Mania is helping me kind of pull out some of these things that I really want to stitch and I haven't gotten out yet. So that's wraps up all 10 of my projects for Mania. All right, how was that for, it feels like a fairly crazy mishmash of a video. If you're watching carefully, you see that I have on 2 different outfits. I'm trying to think of what else changed. Mainly the outfits, I guess. I filmed this over 2 different days because of noise in my house and I didn't want all of that in the background. And it gave me the chance to choose some fabrics in there that I hadn't gotten picked out yet. So I think that's really fun. Or I like being able to share all the details. So like I explained at the beginning, I'm doing 10 projects, 3 days on each project. You've just seen I have 2 WIPs that I'm pulling out, and I'm gonna have 8 new starts. And those are my Mania stitching plans for this year. I also want to incorporate some sort of FFO plan, and I don't have that figured out quite yet. I have tossed around, one idea was to do an FFO for each of the 3 days period, so 10 FFOs over the course of the month. And that's still a bit of something in the back of my mind. Another sort of idea, or it could be part of that same idea, is that I would really love to get all of my word plays done. And I'm working on a couple to wrap up the month of April. And they would, for me, they would count in the month of April as FFOs. If I get those 2 done before the end of this month, that would be May and June, and I would have 6 left the second half of the year. And I would really like to try to maybe get those done in May, but then there's a bunch of other things that I'd like to FFO. So that plan is not fully set yet, and I'll just kind of share that as it goes. And I can't even make it part of the parade because I don't have a decision made. So, but I did want to throw that in there for my Mania plans. So I think that wraps everything up for this little special Mania plans, and well, it was a parade to show you what my Mania plans are. All right, this is going to be a little bit different of a sign off. I will try not to laugh too much because I'm making this jiggle. I was removing my phone from my tripod, which is where I film my videos, and I don't know what made me look at the last little clip that I thought I videoed and it wasn't there. Apparently I tapped on the button twice, and so it started and stopped. And then I did my talking when I thought I was recording, and then I thought I hit stop. Oh, that's how I realized it. When I went to take my phone off the tripod, the video was running. So I've been moving around here talking to myself and thinking that the camera was off. So I need to tell you goodbye one more time. But I thought you might enjoy that. I apologize if it's terribly shaky because I don't usually hold the camera myself. I usually let the tripod do that and keep it steady. So thank you for coming along with me here on my little Mania parade, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe, and join me again for another video later on. But with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I hope I gave you a good laugh this time. and I will talk to you soon.